The bronze clasp bites your thumb as you fasten your cloak, and the sea wind pushes dust through the narrow pass. You are 23 years old in 480 BC, when King Leonidas leads Sparta's 300 north to Thermopylae. Until then, you have carried your father's shield from the training ground to your family courtyard each evening. In a few days, you will stand beside Leonidas while a Persian army reaches the road behind you. You could lose your shield, your brother Dorius, and the stone house where your mother keeps the olive jars. The Persian fleet is already moving along the coast, and the army will reach the hot gates before the summer moon changes. Your father, Nicandros, is a bronze worker with scarred fingers and a small hammer always tucked into his belt. Your mother, Thaleia, dyes wool beside the doorway, and she tests every thread by pulling it once against her wrist. Your younger brother Dorius is 15, too young for the line, and he says every shield dent is proof that its owner remembered his lessons. Your friend Cleon never stops smoothing the horsehair crest on his helmet, even when there is no dust on it. Myrene, who sells lamp oil near the agora, presses her thumb against the rim of each clay lamp before she passes it to a customer. Your shield is round, heavy, and marked with a small bronze lambda at its center. Nicandros made its clasp when you finished your agoge. He told you that bronze does not become strong because it wants to be strong. It becomes strong because it survives the hammer. Sparta has given you other lessons. Rise before daylight. Eat without complaint. Stand close enough to guard the man on your left. Speak little. Return with your shield or be carried upon it. The last rule is repeated by older men so often that it becomes part of the city's dust. Yet your mother does not repeat it when you leave. She only ties a red wool cord around the inside grip of your shield, where no commander will see it. The knot is small. Your hand closes over it. Cleon walks beside you when the column leaves Sparta. He says the Persians must be tired already, because they have marched across half the world to find a road blocked by 300 Spartans. You do not laugh. He says it again anyway. The road north is crowded with men from cities that usually argue over borders, grain, and old insults. Tegeans march beside Mantineans. Arcadians carry their shields behind them. Corinthians arrive with polished helmets. Thespians come from Boeotia. Phocians know the mountain country beyond the pass. You are not alone, although Sparta will later be the name people remember first. At Thermopylae, the land narrows between mountain and water. Hot springs steam near the road. The air smells of salt, sulfur, leather, and crushed thyme under sandals. To the south stands an old wall, partly broken and partly rebuilt by the Greek force. To the north, the road opens toward Xerxes and the Persian army. Leonidas walks the line without ceremony. He is one of Sparta's 2 kings, but here he wears the same red cloak and bronze helmet as the men around him. He looks at the wall. He looks at the sea. He looks at each gap between shields. Then he stops near you. "Keep the line closed," he says. It is not a speech. It is an instruction. The first Persian scouts appear at a distance. Their horses lift thin clouds of dust. Behind them come standards, carts, baggage animals, and more men than you can count from one place. The column continues past the horizon. The narrow road suddenly feels like the only solid thing in Greece. For several days, Xerxes waits. His camp fills the plain beyond the pass. Fires shine there after sunset, one after another, until the northern darkness looks like a second city. Some Greeks whisper that the Persian king expects you to flee when you see the scale of his army. Cleon keeps touching the crest on his helmet. You take off your helmet only once, to rub sweat from your brow. The red wool cord is still looped under your shield grip. You remember your mother testing thread in the doorway. You remember Dorius calling dense proof. On the fourth morning after you arrive, Persian movement begins at the far end of the pass. Rows of men form behind the first standards. The waiting is over. The road becomes quiet enough for you to hear the hot springs bubbling behind the wall. The first attack does not look like a legend. It looks like men walking toward a wall because officers behind them have told them to walk. Their shields are wicker, their tunics carry color, their spears rise and fall above the crowd like reeds in wind. Leonidas lets them enter the narrowest ground. Then the Greek line moves forward. Your shield strikes the rim of Cleon's shield. Your left shoulder locks against his right. Your spear extends through the gap above the bronze edge. The first impact travels through your arm, shoulder, ribs, and feet. The line does not break because no man has room to step backward. You push, you brace, you breathe through dust. The Persians come in waves, but the pass denies them space. Men in the rear cannot see the wall of shields ahead. Officers shout from behind them. Trumpets sound and vanish under the scrape of sandals and bronze. At midday, the first wave pulls back. The Greek line does not cheer. Men drink water. A Corinthian replaces a split spear shaft. An Arcadian sits against the repaired wall and stares at his hands. Cleon examines a scratch on his helmet crest, as if it has offended him personally. Then the next force appears. These are the king's chosen troops, called the Immortals by the Greeks. Their armor glints in the sun. Their officers expect the pass to open for them. Leonidas orders the same formation. This time, your unit pretends to yield ground. You step back with the others. The Persians surge forward into the space they think they have won. Then the line turns. Spartan shields close again. Greek spears meet them at arm's length. The maneuver works because every man knows when to stop. You do not know how long the fighting lasts. The sun moves. Your throat dries. A dent appears near the lambda on your shield. Your hand finds the red cord beneath the grip. It is warm from your palm. By evening, the pass remains Greek. A messenger moves along the wall after dark. He tells the men that Xerxes has watched from a throne placed where he can see the road. He has sent force after force into the bottleneck. None has carried the wall. Cleon says the Persian king should have brought a narrower army. This time you laugh once. Night at Thermopylae is not quiet. Men sharpen spear points. Sandals scrape stone. Someone coughs behind a tent. Water is passed along in a clay jar. From the Persian camp comes the distant noise of thousands preparing for another day. You share dried bread with a thespian named Phidon. He has a cracked leather cup and a calm voice. He says his city sent men because the pass is not only Sparta's road, it is everyone's road. You give him half your water. That small exchange feels larger than the food. At dawn, the attacks begin again. The second day follows the first, but every movement costs more. A spear breaks in your hands. You take another from a rack behind the wall. A man from Tegea is carried away with his helmet missing. A Phocian runner brings news from the mountain trail, then leaves before anyone can ask what he has seen. Leonidas watches the southern track beyond the wall. He does not look north for long. By late afternoon, the Persian attacks stop. For the first time, the silence feels wrong. A Phocian officer arrives at a run. Dust covers his legs to the knees. He speaks with Leonidas, then points toward the ridge behind the pass. You cannot hear the words, but you see Leonidas's face become still. Cleon stops touching his helmet crest. The Anapaea path runs through the mountains above Thermopylae. It is a narrow route, known to local people and guarded by Phocians. If Persian soldiers use it, they can descend behind the Greek wall. The pass will no longer be a wall. It will be a trap. The news travels without shouting. A local man named Ephialtes has shown Xerxes the path. Nobody knows whether the Phocians will hold it. Nobody knows how close the Persian column already is. The mountain above you looks unchanged, gray stone under a darkening sky. That is the worst part. A road can be there even when you cannot see it. Near midnight, Leonidas calls the commanders together. Orders pass between units. Many Greeks will leave before dawn, withdrawing south while they still can. The Peloponnesian contingents gather their packs. Men from other cities move quietly toward the road. You watch them go with no anger. A narrow pass has become a place with two exits, and one of them is closing. Leonidas keeps the Spartans. Around 700 Thespians choose to remain. A Theban contingent remains too, though the reasons and later accounts will be disputed. The Phocians are sent toward the mountain path, hoping to delay the men coming down. You look south. The road home is open for a few more hours. Then you look at Cleon. His crest is finally still. The order has not yet been spoken to your file, but everyone understands what it will be. The mountain path is no longer a rumor. It is a road with footsteps on it. Before sunrise, Leonidas divides the men who remain. The Thespians stand near the Spartans. The Thebans are held close to the wall. The pass has changed shape in your mind. Yesterday it was a doorway. Now it is a hand closing around you. A messenger from the Phocians arrives with the final certainty. Persian troops have crossed the mountain path. The Phocians were driven back toward the heights. The enemy is coming down behind the Greek position. Leonidas calls the Spartan files closer. "You have your orders," he says. The words are simple. They mean that the men who leave may carry warning south. They mean that the men who stay will hold the road long enough for someone else to build another defense. They mean the summer moon will change without you seeing it over Sparta. Your file is told to prepare for the last stand. Cleon looks south again. "My mother will say I ruined this crest," he says. You tell him it survived longer than his old sandals. He smiles, but only with one corner of his mouth. The Greek position shifts from the repaired wall toward a wider place in the pass. There is no advantage in guarding a narrow entrance once enemies are behind you. Leonidas intends to strike the Persian troops in front before the force from the mountain can close completely. You tighten the red cord around your wrist. It is not part of your armor. It does not stop a spear. It does not change the road. It is only wool from your mother's basket, rubbed rough by your shield grip. Yet you keep it visible now. The first Persian advance comes again from the north. Greek shields move toward it. You charge with the line, not because the ground is safe, but because standing still would give the enemy every choice. The space is wider than before. The formation loosens. Your shield no longer covers only Cleon. It must cover open ground, broken spear shafts, and men you do not know. The cost begins to show itself in objects. A bronze helmet lies upside down beside the wall. A broken spear butt is wedged between stones. A leather waterskin has been cut loose and trampled into dust. Each thing belonged to someone who stood here minutes earlier. You hear Leonidas somewhere ahead, giving orders that are swallowed by the crowd. Then Cleon's hand catches your shoulder. He points toward a small gap near the old wall. A group of younger men are trying to carry water jars away from the fighting. Persian troops are moving along the slope toward them. The jars are the last water near your file. Without them, the men holding the southern side of the position will soon have nothing to drink. At the same moment, Phaedon the Thespian falls beside a low stone barrier. He is alive, but his leg will not carry him. His cracked leather cup rolls into the dust. You have one decision. You can lead your file toward the water jars and keep the men on the southern side supplied. Phaedon will remain exposed beside the barrier. Or you can cross the open ground, pull Phaedon back, and leave the jars for the Persians. The men on the southern side will hold without water until the end. Cleon looks at you. The red cord is wrapped around your wrist. Behind you, men call for water. Beside the barrier, Phaedon lifts one hand. Your father's lesson returns to you. Bronze becomes strong because it survives the hammer. But there are hammers that break the thing they strike. You choose Phaedon. Cleon takes the front of the file while you cross toward the stone barrier. You drag Phaedon by the strap of his shield. His leather cup is crushed beneath your sandal. The water jars disappear behind the Persian advance. The first cost has a shape. The jars are gone. You pull Phaedon behind the wall, where a thespian binds his leg with torn cloth. Phaedon looks toward the road and says nothing. He knows what the missing water means. Then the second cost arrives. Cleon's group has held the gap, but the crest he always smoothed is lying in the dust. You find him behind his shield, breathing, conscious and unable to rise. A spear has broken the clasp on his left shoulder guard. His helmet is gone. "You saved the cup," he says, looking at Phaedon's cracked leather cup beside you. You almost tell him the cup was crushed. Instead, you place the cup in his hand. The mountain force is close now. Arrows begin to fall from higher ground. You raise your shield. The red cord presses against your palm. It is darkened with sweat and dust. Leonidas orders the surviving men toward a small rise near the road. The line is no longer a wall. It is a circle forming around what remains. The rise is small, rough, and ringed by stone. It is not a fortress. It is simply the last ground left to hold. Leonidas is still visible near the front. His red cloak has gathered dust at the hem. Around him, Spartans and Thespians close ranks, while Persian troops press from the pass and the slopes behind. Your spear is gone. You hold your shield with both hands. Cleon cannot stand, so you and another Spartan pull him to the inner side of the rise. Phaedon lies near him with his bound legs stretched before him. The cracked cup rests between them. You give Cleon the last mouthful from your own waterskin. He tries to refuse. "You kept the gap," you tell him. He drinks. The line tightens again. Men who began the day with long spears now hold shorter weapons, broken shafts, or nothing but shields. The old training returns in fragments. Step, brace, turn the shoulder, close the gap. Then Leonidas disappears from view. At first, you think he has moved behind the line. Men shout a name. The sound changes. A small group pushes forward toward the place where he fell. You do not see the king's final moments. You see the effect. Spartans surge toward the body of their king. Persians surge toward it from the other side. The ground between them becomes the center of the battle. For a few moments, the road belongs to neither army. Then the Spartans bring Leonidas back toward the rise. His body is carried behind the remaining shields. The living men close around him. No order needs to be repeated. The shield circle narrows. Bronze becomes strong because it survives the hammer. You say the words to yourself. Then you understand the inversion. Bronze cannot survive every hammer. Neither can a city. The rule does not mean that you will never break. It means the work of holding matters because something else may survive after you cannot. The Persian archers form behind their infantry. You see their bows lift. The sky above the pass fills with motion. You place your shield over Cleon and Phaedon. The red wool cord is caught beneath your fingers. It is the only bright color you can see close by. The arrows descend. The story of this moment will be repeated for centuries. Some people will remember only 300 Spartans. They will forget the Thespians who remained beside them. They will forget the thousands of Greeks who held the pass in the first days. They will forget the Phocians on the mountain path. They will forget that Thermopylae was a delay, not a victory. But the delay matters. While the pass holds, Greek cities prepare. The Persian advance south is slowed. The wider war continues through the autumn. Greek ships will fight at Salamis. Greek forces will later fight again at Plataea. Thermopylae does not end the invasion. It gives the rest of Greece time to meet it. Days later, the pass is empty except for weapons, broken wood, trampled earth, and the old wall. The hot springs keep steaming. The sea keeps moving beside the road. The Persian army continues south. Far away, in Sparta, Nicandros returns from his workshop and finds Dorius sitting beside the doorway. The boy has polished a practice shield until the bronze shows his face. Philia is winding red wool around her fingers, then unwinding it again. No messenger arrives with your voice. No friend arrives with Cleon's joke. No Thespian arrives carrying Phaedon's cup. The war will scatter news slowly. Sparta will learn that Leonidas is dead. It will learn that the 300 did not return. It will learn that other Greeks stood with them. Your family will learn the shape of absence before it learns every name. Nicandros will keep the small hammer in his belt. Philia will keep an empty place beside the olive jars. Dorius will remember what he said about dents. Years later, the remains of Leonidas will be returned to Sparta. His name will become part of the city's memory. At Thermopylae, an epitaph will honor the Spartans who obeyed their laws and held their place. But there is no stone for every composite soldier who stood in the dust with a red cord beneath his shield grip. There is only the road. There is only the pass. There is only the question of what remained after the line closed.